You know how TJ Warren looked like the best player on the planet and drew comparisons to Michael Jordan for 2 weeks, and then just as abrupt as it came, it went? What happened? For a 5-game stretch, TJ Warren had millions of NBA fans convinced that they were watching the greatest basketball player to ever touch a ball. Well, not the greatest, but some of y'all were really running away with this narrative. Warren went from averaging 20 points a game to averaging nearly 35, 7, and 2 on 60% shooting. It only took 5 games to convince what seemed like the majority of NBA fans that TJ Warren was next up. And then a first-round sweep and 4 average games later, he was back to being TJ Warren. See, this has happened before. The NBA player who completely balls out for a handful of games and looks like a completely different player overnight. In fact, what TJ Warren did is pretty mediocre compared to what some other players have done. Overnight transformations, you have to see to believe. Today's video is brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings is celebrating the return of sports by giving you a shot to instantly win up to $25,000 in prizes with DraftKings free instant win game, and one lucky winner will walk away with a $1 million cash prize. Download the DraftKings app, sign up for the free football survivor pool, and make your picks. That's it. Let me show y'all how this works. Here's my DraftKings app. This is the homepage, and boom. Right here, grab your free share of up to $100 million in prizes instantly. Yeah, sign me up. I'm gonna click play free because free is a great price. And there it is, free $1 million Pro Football Survivor plus $100 million golden ticket giveaway. Just accept the terms, and now all I need to do is make my weekly pick and I'm in the books. They literally give you the odds each team has of winning. And since I'm no football savant, I'm gonna go ahead and choose the Chiefs to beat the Texans because numbers. Now, check this out. Just for making my pick, I get an instant reward. So, brothers, do yourself a favor, download the DraftKings app, sign up using promo code HIGHROLLER, and enter the Football Survivor pool today. Remember back in 2012 when Jeremy Lin went from a bench warmer playing 5 minutes a game to being the most electrifying player in the entire league? If you witnessed it firsthand, you'd know how ridiculous this was at the time. 0 points, 2 points, 0 points, 4, 3, 8, 4, 2, 25, 28, 23, 38? What's going on here? Starts off the season with a 9-game run that nearly had him demoted to the D-League, and then goes on one of the most historic runs by a non-superstar. But like most players who have these apparently random moments of greatness, it's only a matter of time before things settle back down. Before the law of averages rears its ugly face and brings our heroes back down to earth with stat lines that don't resemble that of Wilt Chamberlain. When TJ Warren was on his unbelievable run a few weeks ago, I couldn't help but be reminded of Linsanity, and how as a fan base we should all know better by now. Like, are we really going to allow a few games to dictate the narrative on a player's entire trajectory? Yes. Yes, we are. Because it's fun, and we refuse to learn from our mistakes. Just as long as we don't do this all the time. Well, it happens. Sometimes players just step up their game so much that even if it's for just a few games, we take notice and make some pretty outlandish claims and comparisons. But some players had overnight transformations that were so drastic that even the most conservative fans would swear they were witnessing the next GOAT. There was once a man named Mike James. He's not dead or anything, he's just not in the... Anyways, Mike played for a few NBA teams in his days, like the Chicago Bulls. He averaged a very modest 2 points per game there. He also played for the Hornets, and also averaged 2 points a game with them. And the Pistons, the Heat, the Mavericks, the Bucks, Timberwolves, Rockets, Wizards, Celtics, and the Raptors. Mike James played for 11 NBA teams as a solid to low-level role player, except for one season. Leading up to the 2005-2006 NBA season, Mike James averaged 9.2 points and 3.5 assists per game. This wasn't because of a lack of minutes or opportunity or anything like that. The man just couldn't shoot the damn ball, averaging only 41% from the field during his first 4 NBA seasons. But after getting traded from the Rockets to the Raptors, I guess Mike James found a pair of Michael Jordan's shoes in his locker because this man became a whole new player. Before the 2005-2006 season, out of the 248 career games James played in, he had 0 30-point games. 0. After being traded to the Raptors, James went on a 20-game stretch in which he had 10 30-point games, outscoring Ray Allen, LeBron James, Paul Pierce, Joe Johnson, and Carmelo Anthony, all in a matter of just weeks. To finish off the season, Mike went on a 10-day rampage and averaged 31 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds per game. After being an, at best, average NBA player his entire career, Mike James virtually became prime Michael Jordan for 10 days. To put this incredible run into perspective, the average PER in the NBA is an even 15. Leading up to his time with the Raptors, Mike maintained an average PER of 14.2 throughout his career. But for the entire last month of the 2005-2006 season, Mike had an average PER of 23.9, 10th in the entire NBA. A man that didn't even average double-digit scoring once in his entire career became one of the league's most dominant players for an entire month. And then in the following season, he wasn't. After his incredible run, Mike signed with the Timberwolves the next season and didn't see another 30-point game for the rest of his entire career. Now, I'm gonna show you something that is so shocking, I literally couldn't believe it. When I saw this for the first time, I had to double check different sources to make sure this was accurate. So here's a stretch of games by former NBA player Larry Hughes in early 2000. He played for the 76ers and he was an at times below average rotational guy. The majority of his games did not see double-digit scoring. Just here in this 21-game stretch, he scored in double digits only 7 times. This wasn't a particularly thriving time in Larry's career, but on February 16th, on the final day of this stretch of games, Larry was traded to the Golden State Warriors, and in that same exact season, in the very next month, he did this. A 23-game stretch with numbers fit for a first ballot Hall of Famer. For 40 days, Larry Hughes became the chosen one, the next NBA superstar. Before the trade, Larry struggled to get even 10 points, but immediately after joining the Warriors, Larry Hughes had not one, but 2 40-point games and 7 30-plus point games. Look at this. 44, 7, 6, and 3 on 55% shooting from the field. How? Larry went from averaging 7, 3, and 1 to averaging 25, 6, and 4 the very next month. Here's a chart of the most productive guards in the NBA post All-Star break in 2000. The numbers you see represent the total number of points, rebounds, and assists each player averaged per game. You have some Hall of Famers early in their prime like Ray Allen, Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, and then there's Larry Hughes, the second most productive guard in the entire NBA for the second half of the season. The man transformed in the blink of an eye. If social media existed in the year 2000, do you understand how many Bleacher Report posts Larry would have gotten? This 23-game stretch would lead you to believe that he finally got his break and he would soon find the success he deserved. And you'd be right. Larry Hughes was fortunate enough to achieve one of the most elusive titles in all of basketball. The guy who got really good out of nowhere and then actually stayed good. This is a rare feat, but Larry pulled it off. Now, for a moment, I want you to imagine you are a 6-year NBA vet, a 5', 11" point guard who fills his role, but nothing more. Your career numbers: 9 points, 3 assists, and 1 rebound a game on 45% shooting. You've played enough basketball to know that you've earned a spot in the league, but you also know you'll never be the guy. It just won't happen. You've played 420 NBA games, and you've scored 20 plus points 31 times. You've never had a single 30-point game in your 6 years in the league. And then, out of nowhere, in your 421st career game, it happens. Your first 30-point game. It took 42 minutes and 14 shots to do it. The best game of your entire life. But it will probably never happen again. And then 6 days later, it happens again. And then again 15 days later. And then again, and again, and again, and again, and then again. It took 420 games for you to log your first 30-point game. And yet, it only took 26 games to log the next 7. All topped off with a 50-point explosion. 50 points. This is what happened to former NBA player Dana Barros. For 5 years, Barros averaged 9 points, 3 assists, and 1 rebound a game. But for a 40-game stretch, for what appears to be no reason at all, he averaged 25 points, 7 assists, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals a game. This isn't some 5 or even 20 game sample. Dana did this for half of an entire season. This man tripled his production on better efficiency for 40 games straight. Imagine for a second that Alex Caruso began to average something like 23, 7, and 4 a game, and then maintained this level of play for half of the season, and then became an NBA All-Star. Because this is what Dana Barros did. From a player who started only 98 out of 372 career games to being a top 25 player in the NBA the very next season in the middle of his career. But streaks like this happen all the time. Of course, not to the incredibly shocking extent that we saw with Mike James, Larry Hughes, and Dana Barros, but it does happen. 5-game stretches, 20-game stretches, and in some rare cases, half of an entire season in the middle of a 15-year career. This happens more often than you would think, and yet somehow we continue to allow ourselves to be prisoners of the moment and hop online the instant some guy gets 30 points to claim he's the next Kobe Bryant. Why do we do this to ourselves? Maybe because we all want to be the guy who said, "I saw it coming before anyone else." So we have written proof that we predicted some average player was next up based off of some 5-game sample size. Who knows? But next time you witness an average player morph into 2006 Kobe Bryant overnight, remind yourself of Jeremy, Larry, Mike, and Dana. That even the underdogs can shine like goats every once in a while. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, until next time.